Since 1950, Formula One racing has seen its fair share of challenges, including 32 driver fatalities during Grand Prix weekends, plus some additional losses during test sessions and non-championship events. This really underscores the risks that come with such a thrilling sport, even with all the safety improvements we've seen over the years. In total, 52 drivers have tragically lost their lives in FIA World Championship events or while racing in other Formula One related events. While the sport is incredibly exciting, it's a reminder of the importance of safety in racing. Fernando Alonso's miraculous survival, from Hamilton's heart-stopping crash to Verstappen's career-altering incident, these are the jaw-dropping accidents that forever change the face of Formula One. Buckle up as we dive into some of the most shocking moments in racing history. First up, let's talk about the sensational Fernando Alonso in 2016. During the Australian Grand Prix, he suffered a terrifying crash. His car soared through the air, flipping and spinning before slamming into the wall at an astonishing 200 miles per hour. Miraculously, Alonso emerged from the wreckage unharmed, escaping his McLaren with his life. But hold on tight, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's rewind to one of the most infamous incidents in F1, involving Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen, at the 1994 Hockenheim race. What was supposed to be a routine pit stop turned into a nightmare. As he pulled into the pits, a shocking accident unfolded. Fuel sprayed out of the fueling hose and ignited on his hot car. This catastrophic blaze marked a pivotal moment in F1 history. These spine-chilling crashes remind us just how perilous and unpredictable the world of Formula One can be. Crashes. There was a dramatic moment when Verstappen found himself in his car, surrounded by flames. Everything suddenly turned dark and smoky, and it was hard to breathe. Despite the chaos, refueling during pit stops was a part of F1 up until 2010, but after several incidents, it was banned for good. Thankfully, Jos managed to survive his fiery crash, but sadly, another driver wasn't as fortunate. This led to one of the most talked-about tragedies in F1 history. In 1994, during the San Marino GP, a young Austrian driver named Roland Ratzenberger tragically lost his life in a crash while qualifying at an incredible speed of 195.7 miles per hour. The very next day, the legendary Ayrton Senna, who many regard as one of the best F1 drivers ever, had a devastating accident and passed away as well. There were even whispers that Senna was contemplating not racing due to the heart-wrenching news of Ratzenberger's passing. In the end, he opted to race and, unfortunately, lost control of his car on lap 7. It was a tough time for everyone involved in F1, and these events changed the sport forever. In a jaw-dropping twist during an F1 race, a hidden exposed concrete barrier met a car traveling at a staggering 192 miles per hour, setting off a seismic shift in the sport's approach to safety. The aftermath of this shocking incident ushered in a new era, where the well-being of F1 drivers took center stage. Testing methods evolved. Tire barriers became compulsory, and robust rubber belts and wheel tethers were introduced to keep drivers safe. But amidst these changes, one driver's reputation took a nosedive. Nikita Mazepin, the laughingstock driver. Mazepin's rookie season was the talk of the town, but not for the right reasons. He quickly became the figure of fun of the paddock, facing backlash even before his career truly began. When he crashed in the very first race of the year, it only added fuel to the fire. Come on, crashing in the first race? Legendary driver Sergio Perez didn't hold back, calling him an idiot during the Portuguese Grand Prix. Meanwhile, tensions boiled over with his ex-teammate Mick Schumacher, reaching a point where Mick openly declared he wanted to finish Mazepin. But the drama didn't stop there. Another shocking incident unfolded during the opening lap of the 2018 Bahrain Grand Prix. Romain Grosjean found himself in a horrifying crash that would rock F1 forever. He soared to a staggering 67 Gs, smashing into a metal barrier at 119 miles per hour, which split his car in two and unleashed a massive explosion. For a harrowing 27 seconds, Grosjean was trapped in the inferno before heroically escaping through the raging flames. He later credited his survival to the Halo device, a game-changer in F1 safety. Despite these groundbreaking precautions, some crashes remain unavoidable, especially when rivalries escalate to a point where a driver might do anything to overshadow their teammates' shot at glory. The world of F1 is as thrilling as ever, filled with high stakes and even higher speeds. The battle between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. They had an incredible rivalry while driving for Mercedes, winning both the Constructors' and Drivers' Championships. However, things took a personal turn during the Spanish Grand Prix when they collided on the opening lap. The crash was quite a moment. fracturing their already tense relationship and putting Mercedes in a tough spot, even considering the possibility of parting ways with both drivers. It's fascinating to think that they were childhood friends, and despite their history, this incident caused a real blunder in their friendship. Lewis even mentioned to Mercedes that he wasn't sure he wanted to race for them anymore. Niki Lauda, a legendary figure in F1, pointed out that both drivers really pushed each other to their limits, which contributed to the crash. Interestingly, Niki himself had a much more serious crash during the 1976 German Grand Prix. The poor weather and tricky track conditions led to a terrible accident that ultimately prompted F1 to implement changes for safety. Niki Lauda's legendary comeback. What's truly fascinating is that even though Niki Lauda was the fastest driver on the circuit, he voiced his strong discontent with the track and urged his fellow racers to abandon the race. Unfortunately, the majority didn't share his views, and the race went ahead. Tragically, at the infamous and treacherous Bergenwerk corner, Lauda lost control of his Ferrari, veered off the track, and collided with a wall in a blaze of flames. He suffered horrific burns to his head and hands and inhaled scorching fumes that severely damaged his lungs. Rushed to the hospital, he fell into a coma and was even given his last rites. But miraculously, he pulled through. This incident became a pivotal moment in Lauda's career. Nicholas Latifi, the crash that shook a title. On the flip side, Nicholas Latifi's crashes defined his career, but not in the heroic way he would have hoped. In the electrifying final laps of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Latifi's crash sent shockwaves through the race, shattering Mercedes' dreams as Lewis Hamilton lost his lead. Despite Latifi's sincere apologies, he couldn't shake off the notorious Go Tifi label, especially after crashing behind the safety car at the Monaco Grand Prix. Seriously, how does that even happen? Latifi explained, "The throttle didn't get stuck, but it felt just like it did. It was incredibly strange and surprising. I was already going so slow I was just a passenger at that point, with the car driving forward and me not even on the gas. What in the world was happening? What a wild ride." Interestingly, during the Japanese Grand Prix practice session, he ended up taking a wrong turn down a dead end. Instead of sticking to the track, he made a quick 180-degree turn and went the other way. However, instead of admitting it, he playfully blamed the unusual turn on how strange the car felt. While those mishaps didn't lead to any serious issues, there was a much sadder story involving Antoine Hubert. As we remember, his crash during the Belgian Grand Prix was truly heartbreaking. He had a high-speed accident on the second lap when his car collided with a barrier at the challenging Eau Rouge turn. And tragically, another driver, Juan Manuel Correa, struck him shortly after. Antoine's injuries were devastating, and he sadly didn't make it. Jackie Stewart's legacy, from crash survivor to safety pioneer. Reflecting on this, it's worth noting that even racing legend Jackie Stewart had a close call. At that same corner many years ago, his crash left him hanging upside down with fuel trickling down a truly scary moment. Thankfully, he was safely rescued by two other drivers. It really highlights the risks these athletes face on the track and the importance of safety in motorsport. Since then, he's been on a mission to make driving safer for everyone. It's pretty interesting because he initially thought seatbelts were unnecessary and a bit uncomfortable. But over time, he realized how important they are after seeing how new safety measures have saved many drivers' lives. When I first got involved in Formula One, the tracks were really risky. There were no safe areas to pull off, and things like telegraph poles were uncomfortably close to the track. Carlos Sainz and the seatbelt debate. Although he has changed his views on seatbelts, a recent crash involving Carlos Sainz made the FIA, the folks who oversee Formula One, take a closer look at their seatbelt rules. During a practice session at the Monza circuit, Carlos crashed hard into the wall at a tricky spot called the Ascari chicane. The impact was pretty intense, and he was pushed forward toward his steering wheel, even though he was wearing a seatbelt. This understandably worried a lot of F1 fans, but the FIA explained that while Carlos's case was a bit unusual, it's actually normal for seatbelts to stretch a little during a crash. This helps keep the body safer than if the belts were completely rigid, which is good news for everyone. Michael Massey stirred the pot with his intriguing take on the notorious crash, stating, "I think the seatbelts are made to stretch." He emphasized that they would thoroughly investigate the seatbelt configuration, just as they would with any major incident, looking for ways to enhance safety in motorsport. But this crash was just the tip of the iceberg. Red Bull's civil war, Ricciardo versus Verstappen. In the thrilling chaos of the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, tension boiled over at Red Bull. In a fierce battle down the long straight, drivers Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo collided spectacularly, both ending their races in a dramatic double retirement. It was an intense showdown where Verstappen defended fiercely while Ricciardo charged in aggressively, resulting in a heart-stopping crash that left fans gasping. After the race, Ricciardo didn't hold back in expressing his frustration. "Verstappen cutting into me really annoyed me. I was expecting the team to step in, but they didn't," he vented. "We touched wheels a few times, and it was always Max coming into me." The anger was palpable, and as he reflected on the incident, he declared, "I was just like few guys." It was a shocking revelation to see Ricciardo so fired up, but this infamous clash ultimately led him to make the heartbreaking decision to leave the Milton Keynes-based team. After all, Verstappen was seemingly ready to overshadow his career. This incident didn't just change the trajectory of their rivalry, it also reshaped the landscape of Formula One. Even Christian Horner, the boss of the Red Bull team, has suggested that Daniel Ricciardo might have been dodging a showdown with his teammates. Fast forward to today, and we all know where the chips have fallen. The Snap-on sensation is now a two-time world champion. At this rate, with Red Bull's incredible performance, we could be looking at a future five-time champion. But in a surprising twist, Ricciardo has returned to the Red Bull fold, this time as a reserve driver for his former teammate. Now let's talk about thrilling moments on the track. The riveting action at the British Grand Prix had everyone on the edge of their seats when George Russell collided with Alfa Romeo driver Guan Yu Zhou during the opening lap. This terrifying incident sent Zhou's car soaring across the track, skidding on its halo before crashing into a concrete barrier. The sheer intensity of this crash was heart-stopping, as Zhou was literally upside down. But thankfully, he walked away unscathed, all thanks to the life-saving halo. He even took to Twitter to express his gratitude to the technology that protected him. The Halo is just one of the many groundbreaking advancements in F1 safety, showcasing how far the sport has come in protecting its drivers and saving lives. Jules Bianchi, the crash that changed F1 forever. However, not every story has a happy ending. The tragic tale of Jules Bianchi, it sent shockwaves through the racing world. A talented driver who was the first to join Ferrari's driver academy had his dreams shattered in a horrific incident where he lost control of his car and crashed into a crane clearing the wreckage of Adrian Sutil's car. At a chilling speed of 70.28 miles per hour, Bianchi's crash into the crane not only took his life, but also sparked significant changes in F1 regulations. In the aftermath, the FIA implemented the 4-hour rule, mandating that races held during the day must finish no less than 4 hours before sunset, alongside new protocols for track drainage and how emergency crews handle incidents. While some tragic crashes led to positive rule changes, there have also been instances where drivers pushed for rules that serve their benefit. One driver altered regulations for an unfair advantage, while another made a move so bizarre that it fundamentally changed the future of F1.